Welcome to 30 Minute Reviews. This is Adam. Last week when I was doing an episode of Beware of Spoilers, I said that I had wanted to... Level's looking weird. I said that I wanted to do an episode of this about Elseworlds, because there's a lot going on the set. If you follow any of the people involved on Twitter, you know there's a lot of shit going on with this show. And quite honestly, we have no idea what's going on. Because every day they add something to it that makes less sense than the previous day. Which you can't really figure out what's going on. And every time I went to do this, something else happened. That's like, okay, well, I wait, digest that, and then I'm going to add that to it. And, so every day, because something new is coming out about this. So, let's start with what the original premise of this was. When they unveiled it was called Elseworlds, and they unveiled that it was also going to feature Batwoman. Actually, I think that was first. Then they cast Ruby Rose as Batwoman for the show, and to be a backdoor pilot for that. Then later on, there was also speculation there's going to be a backdoor pilot for a Superman TV show. So that's up in the air. Then I think the first thing to come out was a picture of Grant Gustin, who plays the Flash, and Stephen Amell, who plays the Green Arrow, with Tyler Hoechlin, I think his name is. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the guy who plays Superman on Supergirl. All three of them together. Now, of note was Superman being in his black suit that we didn't see in Justice League, but was shot for Justice League, and is, here now for some reason. So he's in his black suit. So Death of Superman is going to be somewhat involved in this somehow. Also, more peculiar about that picture and the follow-up picture of just Grant and Steven was they were dressed as Batman villains, the Trigger Twins, which we knew there'd be some element of Batman villains involved, or something to do with Batman, because we're going to have Batwoman there, plus on top of that we also had it was going to take place at Arkham, and I forgot who the villain was going to be. One of the doctors at Arkham was going to be the villain. We also knew that the Monitor was going to be involved. We have a picture of the Monitor now. So that was the first weird thing that happened. It's like, oh, cool, okay, so we don't know what's happening. Then came the really weird, which we've been seeing pictures of all week. For some reason, they've swapped characters, Grant and Steven. Melissa Benoist is still playing Supergirl, and the Supergirl cast seems reasonably intact. But now, for some reason, Stephen Amell will be playing the Flash, and Grant Gustin's playing the Green Arrow, which is hopefully going to be them attempting to copy each other's mannerisms, too. Otherwise, it's a waste of an opportunity to see them mimic each other, which is what they should be doing. Because I don't think a light and, happy Green Arrow and a dark and weird Flash would mix well. But, even that would be fun to watch for an episode. So that's happening. Then came the next thing, which was a picture of them on the street. Supergirl, Grant as the Arrow, and Steven as the Flash, with John Wesley Shipp reprising his role. Not as Jay Garrick from Earth 3, but as the Flash from the 1990s TV show, complete with a recreation from scratch of the suit from that show. And we still have no idea what's going on. Now, I think there's gotta be something bigger that they haven't revealed yet that's gonna happen in this, because if the biggest thing in this is a comeback for John Wesley Shipp's Flash, then it feels weird to have spoiled that this early in production, and not just spoiled it, but also have But, like, to have that be the biggest thing that's happening here, to have that out and by everyone, not just one guy on the crew is like, why is he wearing this? It's like, everyone's there. And it's not the first time that on the CW we've seen him in the Flash costume. In the episode Welcome to Earth 2 in Season 2 of The Flash, when they're going through and they see the clips of the other universes where it's like, there's the clip of, you see the Legion of Superheroes ring, you see Supergirl. One of the clips they show is John Wesley's ship as the Flash from that show. So it's not the first time, but it is significant. It's the first time he's actually interacting with the cast. It's also, I never really thought about this, the first time he interacts with the Green Arrow. We've never seen those two share screen time before, despite him being a reasonably large cast member in Season 1, or a major character in Season 1, and Season 2 is kind of important too. Season 3, he's just kind of there to deliver sage advice as needed, and Season 4, he kind of announces his retirement, Jay, or Henry Allen. I don't know what's going on with this. It seems like they could use this as a lead-in to what they're teasing on The Flash. I've only watched episode 1 so far. They could be using this to tease an intro to Crisis on Infinite Earths, because they're introducing the Mon, there's a lot of things in play. I still think that if you're going to do Crisis on Infinite Earths, you should do it with all of the shows and do it major crossover style and give it a theatrical release, like Marvel had the audacity to do with the Inhumans. But yeah, let's hope for the best, and I really don't know what else to expect. I don't know what else they can unveil that's going to be bigger than what they've already done. Odds are there's no Doomsday, so we'll wrap it up there. We'll be back next week with something else cool like this. Hopefully we get some Avengers news soon, because Gwyneth Paltrow leaked the rescue suit on either Twitter or Instagram, which someone did a design for what it would look like the rest of the way through, and I like the design, if that's accurate. I mean, granted, it's based on the color scheme for, like, her shoulder, down to, like, midway up her chest on one side of her body, so if they're going to mirror it and stretch it out, I do like the design, if that's accurate. But yeah, I think there's a lot going on in that movie too, we can discuss in another episode. And then there's also Marvel over at Netflix. What strategy are they taking? Because they've now canceled 2 of their shows. I have a theory on that. You know what? Let me do that now. Might as well, we're only 7 minutes, and I don't have anywhere to be. So let's do that now. 2 weeks ago, Marvel announced that they were canceling Iron Fist, which wasn't entirely surprising, considering that they should have started out Iron Fist where Season 2 ended, where Colleen Wing is the Iron Fist, and that's where it should have started. It would have been a much better decision, because I like that character more than I like Danny Rand, which is a problem when the show is about Iron Fist and not about Colleen Wing. So that would have been a smarter thing to do. Then a week later, they announced that Luke Cage was getting canceled too. And the supposed reason why Luke Cage got canceled too is because of creative differences between the showrunner and the studio. Well, in this case, Marvel TV. And what I think happened was, this is pure speculation on my part. I have no industry contacts. I don't know anyone who can, confirm or deny this. But what I think happened was they canceled Iron Fist because Iron Fist wasn't as popular as the other shows. But Iron Fist and Luke Cage and the Power Man have a very intertwined history in the comics. They're heroes for hire. If you go with Colleen Wing and Misty Knight, the Daughters of the Dragon, you got plenty of things you can do. So they said, well, why don't we just mesh that into this? The showrunner of Luke Cage appears to have a plan for what he wanted to do for Season 3, regardless of introducing heroes for hire as the major thing. He didn't want to bring in Danny Rand, because it would take... I feel that if you're doing a Luke Cage show, and it's called Luke Cage, and you have Danny Rand there the entire season as a supporting cast member, I feel like it's going to become more of them and not about Luke, which is what the show should be about. Now, if they did that and did a Heroes for Hire show, where the understanding is that this is about the two of them taking on something together, that's different. But if the show is Iron Fist, then if the show is Luke Cage, it should be Luke Cage. So naturally, he says, no, I don't want to do that. If we want to bring him in for a few episodes, but I don't want the entire show to center on these two characters, especially when we got enough of our own characters to go around. So, they canceled it because of that. Now, Disney is launching their streaming service, which has the Loki show, the Scarlet Witch show, allegedly a Nick Fury show, which may not actually be a Nick Fury show. And now, what better way to try and bring people from Netflix to this? You take two of the shows, combine them into one, you call it Heroes for Hire, and there you go, you got your new show. And now you can keep the cast, because the cast seems gung-ho to continue doing it. You might get some dissent from people who wanted to work with, their original showrunners, but what are you going to do? They could be brought on as consulting producers, but I feel like the showrunner on Iron Fist, Luke Cage, may not be as willing to do that. And quite honestly, I don't know what the showrunner on Iron Fist can really bring to the table between the two of them, because we have two established characters now. We don't really need to do new stuff. You don't need to reestablish the characters, and I hope to God we're not reestablishing Danny Rand's character, because that was probably the worst part of season 1, was having to establish who he is, because he's so boring and he can't fight well, and those are the two most important things about Iron Fist, is that he's interesting, because that's any character's main goal in the story is to be interesting, and that they can, if you're going to do a kung fu show, the kung fu's got to be good, and they don't do that. So they should be able to they should be able to bring this back as that, because it's not like either show has particularly large supporting casts that need to be, dealt with. It's not like The Defenders, where it's like everyone's got to come back. You can bring them in. Or, if you don't want to do Heroes for Hire, you can just do Daughters of the Dragon. Personally, I don't know about Jessica Jones continuing after season 3. For me, Jessica Jones' most famous storyline in the comics is Alias, and then beyond that, it's her and Power Man working together, Jewel and Power Man, and I don't really think... I think a better use would be to use Luke Cage supporting there in Jessica Jones, and also have him in a Heroes for Hire show. Would be the best way to handle these characters now. And Daredevil can basically be on his own, because he's got enough stuff happening. And he's got enough characters. Like, this most recent season of Daredevil, season 3, was substantially better than season 2. And they can bring back Elektra, because Elektra is probably still alive somewhere. But yeah, there's plenty of other stuff they can do with Daredevil without having to bring in the other Defenders, thankfully. There's plenty of other things they can do on the Disney streaming service. And I did say this on Twitter, if you follow me at AdamTaylor792. Maybe the best way to go about these characters is not to do a series for each one, because the series tend to go on too long, and when you do a series, what ends up happening is you'll need to have time where to develop characters, and a lot of times you have to the story stagnates for those things. And the examples I gave are like in Jessica Jones, there's the episode, aka WWJD, which is the episode where Jessica tries to turn Kilgrave into kind of a hero like her, and it doesn't work. And then the next episode is aka Sinbin, which is him him captured so he can't affect anyone. And the problem with that is that these two episodes could have been folded into one, because Sinbin's entire thing is telling what his what his backstory is in Kilgrave, and you could have folded that into the other one and had less downtime in the episode. There's so much, and I think showing parallel Jessica's origin and his origin would have been a cool thing to do. And I think that that's what a lot of the problems are, is that you have to sit here and you have to waste screen time with other things when you have 13 episodes to tell the story. The only show that didn't really suffer from that was Daredevil for some reason, and that's entirely because they always give him enough to do. Like, they introduced Punisher in season 2, then you have Punisher and Elektra both introduced in season 2. Season 1, you're introducing all the characters, plus you also have a parallel story in Kingpin. So there's enough going on to not feel it drag, but for whatever reason, in Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, they all kind of drag in the middle. And it's like, there's no real point to it. There's no reason for it to drag. When you can do a shorter show. So my suggestion was, now that all the characters are introduced, you just do a TV show called Marvel Knights on the streaming service. And you can keep Daredevil independent. You can keep Punisher independent. Punisher's still up in the air after season 2 airs. We'll see how that pans out. But what we can do is take these characters and then do an anthology where you have like 2 episodes about this person, 2 episodes about this person, 2 episodes about this person. You can do a 2-episode team up here. You can introduce Moon Knight somewhere. You can do 2 episodes about Moon Knight. You can do Johnny Blaze can get 2 episodes. There are so many stories from around the Marvel Universe that you can use to do an anthology show of just these little 2-hour little episodes, and then you can bring them all together to team up at the end if you really want to do that. So we'll wrap it up there, and we'll call it a day with Marvel and DC on TV.